Welcome back to Save Toys. I'm your host Travis, and today we cover Japan's most famous kaiju, Godzilla. We're in the review booth to do a quick overview of my Godzilla action figure collection. To your left here, this 1954 Bandai Godzilla that was donated to the Save Toys channel by Gerald Myers. It was one that he had given to the channel a while back, and we will be doing a more in-depth review of this action figure at the release of the new Godzilla movie, Godzilla King of Monsters. Right beside it is some action figures that were donated to the channel by Les, the Godzilla Man Walker. I've got this Godzilla, who is one that I really love. It's posable, and I love those spines right there. It's fantastic. And to the right here, you really don't need any introduction for this guy. This is the Shin Godzilla from the new Japanese release of the Shin Godzilla movie, in which I probably will be putting in my Blu-ray player in just a minute and watching it very shortly this evening. You know how much I like translucents here at the Save Toys channel. We will be doing a translucent video coming up of my action figures that are translucent, obviously. But this little guy right here has some translucent effects to him, and that's just cool. This is a highly posable Zilla from Godzilla 1998. I love how they took him. It was kind of a flop of a movie, but they took the character, renamed him from the American Godzilla to Zilla, and just went on with it with a great new character. And this guy right here is actually the new American Godzilla from the Godzilla movie 2014, and also from the upcoming Godzilla movie. So stay tuned. You'll see more of him in the movies here at Save Toys. Well, that's a brief overview of my Godzilla collection. We've got a special interview coming up, and then I'll meet you back at the Nerd Cave. Travis here with Save Toys. And on this episode, it is, of course, a Godzilla themed. And who came to my mind, of course, is Les, a friend of mine and a Godzilla expert. He was in my mind and said, hey, we need to go talk and interview, because if anything's about Godzilla, this man knows it right here. So, Les, as we get started, I want to say or ask, so what got you interested in Godzilla?
I love Godzilla since I was a little kid. I saw Destroy All Monsters when I was 12 at the drive-in, probably 10 times. And, of course, I saw Godzilla vs. King Kong, which was a much, earlier movie. And I was a King Kong fan, so I remember my cousin, Mike, he was a Godzilla fan already, and he kicked me in the side when they thought King Kong would get ahead. And then I'd kick him in the side when Godzilla got ahead, or whatever. Or whichever one of us was the fan of who. And, but over the years, Kong has always remained a big thing, but Godzilla has just sort of sublimely stayed a favorite. It's hard to justify something like that, It's just he just speaks to me in some way that very few movie figures or characters do.
Well, that leads me to my next question is, so how many Godzilla movies are there in total? And I know they're divided up into franchises. So.
They're eras. Godzilla came out in different eras. There's probably about 30 to 32 of them now. I haven't done a count in my head. But there are different periods. There was called the Showa period that was from the original Godzilla all the way through to really the 70s, when they got kind of crazy with the robot guys and the Godzilla versus what was the, I'm starting to forget here. Well, you got Smog Monster and some of those kind of wacky 70s things. And then Mechagodzilla, when that came along. In 1975 was sort of the last one in that era. And then 10 years went by, and they said, well, we'll just redo it. And by that time, the era was considered a different era called the Heisei, Heisei. And that's my favorite period for Godzilla.
That's from Godzilla 1985.
And Godzilla, in America, it was 1985. It was just called Godzilla, Return of Godzilla in Japan. And it was 1984. So a lot of us that are purists, it's an 84. It's like a car model. It's an 84 car model, but it came out in America in 85. And then
that kind of picked up right where the first one left off.
They considered it a direct sequel. So in other words, we trashed all those other ones, which were fun and glorious, the golden age, so to speak. And then they started over, so you got Godzilla coming back. And then you've got Biollante, and you've got King Ghidorah. Came back to that. And then you've got Mothra came back, and then of course Mechagodzilla, the '93 one was one of my favorites. And then they got a little wacky with Space Godzilla. That was an original for them, and they were like, "Well, we're gonna have to kill him off again." And they got tired of it by '95. He didn't last that long, so they did Destroyer, and they brought the Destroyer back from the original Godzilla to kill him off. And then that ended that era, but not for very long, because that's when you have the Godzilla 2000, the '99.
And of course, you missed the. Some people looking at it as a disaster of 1998.
I didn't miss it. I stepped over it delicately there.
I like how they changed it from Godzilla to Zilla. Just to cover it from that.
They left. Yeah. Godzilla dies, so America makes one, and they got the guy that had made Stargate and everything, the German director, and they did their version, which is called Godzilla, and it was really just giant iguana Godzilla. But and a lot of Godzilla purists hate him.
He was changed the name to Zilla later on. Right?
Whatever. They were trying to do a Godzilla movie, and they just, if it had not been a Godzilla movie, everybody would have loved it. They would have gone, "This is the greatest thing ever," if it had been another name.
But see, and that's what I liked about it, when they made him into a separate character, Zilla with Godzilla. Like, that's a really interesting way to merge two worlds.
Yeah, well, they do account for it in a later Godzilla film. When it was the Japanese come back to it again, of course, they redo him in '99 and have Godzilla 2000. So then he has a series of movies, and that, I forgot, they have a name for that era. And you've got 4 or 5 movies in that group. You kind of have some more Mechagodzilla activity in there. And you have him come through again. And then they started getting experimental. By 2001, they did a solo that was called GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah. And it was like the meanest Godzilla had ever been at that time. The largest suit. He had solid white eyes. It was a totally different design. It had nothing to do with any other one. And it was that one was mean. He was just a jerk. I mean, there's a girl that survives him, and she's in a hospital, and they go out of their way to do the scenery. Well, goes by the hospital, and his tail still takes the hospital out. I'm like, that's mean. He was just mean. So then they were trying to kind of, they did that experiment, and they did 1 or 2 more in that era, and he sort of died off again. And they thought that was it. Like, okay, we're just not going to see anymore. And a few years went by, and the Americans said, well, we'll do it again. Y'all didn't like the Zilla one. Because they did do, that's right, Godzilla Final Wars. That's the one where you saw Zilla. Because Final Wars, he faced everybody again.
I have that.
Final Wars is wackadoo craziness.
I just love the fact that they're 2 separate Godzillas that meet, and just like, because it expands the...
It was in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. It was in Sydney, and it was... Yeah. I just loved it. I bought that whole movie. I saw the clip on YouTube, and I bought that whole movie just to see them confront each other, and I have it at the house.
That's the hyperactive Godzilla movie.
I love it.
The one they do go back to the X-Ends, those guys, the aliens that are in that. And that goes back to the movie Godzilla Monster Zero, or Invasion of the Astro Monsters, what it was originally called, in the Golden Age. Monster Zero is what was called in America, where you had those guys with the cool glasses and the little hats and the thing. Well, that's kind of what those guys were in Final Wars. They were just an upgraded version, so they had little glasses and everything, and they were like rock stars, 80s rock star guys, and all that. And then they brought a lot back into it, but they thought they were done. Like, this is the last Godzilla movie. Again, they've done the last Godzilla movie now about 5 times. So then the Americans sat around. He's too iconic. You can't leave it alone. So the Americans sat around again and said, let's do another one. So then you had the legendary one in 2014. And that's the one that brought him to America, that brings him to where we are now. Because they have done, since that one, the Japanese have done one more, which was Shin Godzilla. And they went back to the original and said, what if there'd never been a Godzilla movie? And did that one, and he's just crazy. That's a crazy... It's kind of a commentary about the Japanese government after the tsunami hit. And they didn't handle anything well. So they said, well, what if Godzilla came and they didn't handle it well? So it's a parody of the Japanese government.
And his name is Godzilla Shin, right?
Well, no, it's called Shin Godzilla because it's a new version. It's reborn, redone, whatever. That's just the Japanese name for it.
And I like that the first movie was right after nuclear war, about 10 years from World War II. And how they were, handling cooking that, and then this one's after the tsunami. So Godzilla, natural disaster, or war, they kind of coincide.
Well, Godzilla's always been a force of nature. If you look back, he was referred to that way in the first movie. He would lose that, he would become the hero of children everywhere, and then he would become a disaster guy again. And then, like the 84, 85 one, he was back to being that. And then he sort of became a fighter for everybody again, and then they changed him. He keeps... No matter how hard they try to make him a bad guy, he cycles back through and becomes a hero again. So by the time he's a big hero, And they have to kill him off and let him be a bad guy. It's like a cycle. It's like a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the Americans said, well, let's just make him a hero. Let's just start him a hero. So their version's different. So when he comes out, we haven't seen it yet. It hasn't come out this year yet. It's only a month or two away. But we've got the Godzilla King of the Monsters.
May 28th. I'm
Maybe,
going to be reviewing that movie on Save Toys, so I want you guys to check that out.
That's the movie I think all Godzilla fans have lived their life dreaming of, because the modern technology and the modern effects and the things they can do, everything we've seen in the previews, I don't think we're prepared for it. I know I'm not emotionally ready to see how cool this is going to be.
And I was watching Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, and it kind of looks like all those monsters are going to be in this movie coming out. So
there's a lot of monsters in there.
Wow.
The four main ones, Godzilla, Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra, are for sure. They're very promoted, but they're supposed to be more than that.
Two suspected ones?
Somebody else, probably Anguirus and somebody else. But the thing is Godzilla's now sort of the hero.
Mm-hmm.
Now next year we've got Godzilla versus Kong again.
Actually, I want to hold on.
Who's the good guy in that?
That's something we're going to get to in just a few minutes.
Who's the good guy? Because if Godzilla's the hero, he ain't a bad guy. So it's going to be complicated.
We're kind of running low on time, but I want to ask you one more question on this, and then we're going to go to a bonus question for members of Save Toys Premium. So before we leave our regular video, Ghidorah or Ghidra? What is? I grew up on Ghidra, but I love the sound of Ghidorah. What do you think?
Really, either one. The Japanese, a lot of fans call him Ghidorah. That's the respectful name. I grew up, and in the Waycross newspaper it said Ghidra, Ghrida, or R-A-H, and it's just like the word Ghidra. It was a simple pronunciation, and that's part of my lexicon. But I can say Ghidorah like anybody else.
Well, that's our interview here at Save Toys with Les, the Godzilla expert. For a bonus question, you're going to have to head on over to Save Toys Premium. That's where if you'd like to donate to the channel, we'll do an episode on review whatever action figure, and you get all the episodes a week early. It's a private page on Save Toys Facebook, and there you get to see the rest of this interview. So if you're interested, maybe donate an action figure for me to make an episode, contact me. And our P.O. Box is Save Toys, P.O. Box 211, Blackshear, Georgia 31516. So meet us over at Save Toys Premium for the rest of this interview.
And that wraps up this episode of Godzilla Unlimited right here at Save Toys YouTube. For more Godzilla loving, hold on to May 31st, 2019 for the release of the new Godzilla movie to theaters all across this great nation. Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And Save Toys will be right there reviewing that movie, as well as a more in-depth review of the 1954 Bandai Godzilla action figure featured in this show. Thank you, Gerald Myers, for donating that action figure to the Save Toys channel. We are so excited about digging deeper in a review for that figure. Also, thank you, Les, the Godzilla Man Walker, for the great Godzilla interview you did and the great Godzilla facts you gave us, as well as the Godzilla figures and DVDs you donated to the channel as well. So much Godzilla knowledge that came our way. And subscribe to the channel here at YouTube, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a video here at Save Toys YouTube. Also, Matt Myers, a very special friend of the Save Toys channel, owner and operator of Endangered Tattoos in Ahoskie, North Carolina, wants to see you at the Savannah, Georgia Tattoo Convention, May 17th through the 19th. Mention Save Toys and he'll waive the deposit for the tattoos. And if you need to contact him before then for any questions, contact him at thelatemyers@yahoo.com. Thank you, Matt Myers, for all you do, and we believe in the passion you're giving all those tattoos at Endangered Tattoos in Ahoskie. Until next time, if you like it, collect it.